Have you ever noticed that nice job can sound flat, but a very careful, highly detailed compliment can sound weird too? One feels empty, the other feels like it came through a lab report. And if you are more introverted or analytical, you probably know both versions. You either keep it short and generic so you do not overdo it, or you explain so much that the whole thing starts to feel unnatural. That is the strange part. The awkwardness usually isn't about kindness. It's not because you don't appreciate people. In many cases, it happens because you are trying too hard to make the appreciation land. You're not simply saying what you noticed, you're managing it. Most people think compliments feel good when they are positive enough, but that's only half true. A compliment also has to feel believable. Nice work is positive, but it gives the other person nothing to hold on to. On the other side, a long explanation can feel like you are proving a case in court. It has detail, yes, but it can also sound tense, overbuilt, and oddly self-conscious. Why do analytical people drift into those two extremes? Because both are safe in different ways. Generic praise is safe because it's short. You can throw it out and move on. Over-explaining is safe because it tries to eliminate ambiguity. If vague praise feels fake, your brain says, fine, I'll add context, evidence, and 5 supporting reasons. Now it will be sincere. But sincerity is not measured by word count. Here's the deeper mechanism. Awkward compliments usually come from performance mode. You stop relating to the other person and start constructing the perfect social object. It's a little like holding a cup of water with both hands very carefully and then wondering why you look stiff. The moment gets over-controlled. Dale Carnegie had a very simple principle for this. Give honest and sincere appreciation. The key word is not praise, it is honest. Flattery tries to create a feeling. Appreciation reports one. Flattery says what sounds good. Appreciation says what is true. That is why one feels slimy and the other feels calm. And this is where the word specific gets misunderstood. Specific does not mean elaborate. It does not mean poetic. It does not mean you have to produce a unique compliment no one has ever heard before. Specific just means the other person can tell exactly what you noticed. There are really only 3 easy places to look. You can notice effort, a choice, or an outcome. Effort is what they put in. Choice is how they approached it. Outcome is what it changed. If you can name one of those, you already sound more sincere than good job. At work, imagine a coworker gives a presentation. Generic praise sounds like, nice job today. Over-explaining sounds like, I really appreciated the clarity and strategic framing because it made the business case more accessible. Not wrong, but it can sound like a memo. A calmer version is, you made the numbers easy to follow. The comparison to last month helped. Short, concrete, real. Or maybe someone sends you a helpful document. You do not need to say, this was incredibly valuable and demonstrated a very high level of thoughtfulness. You can say, this saved me time. The summary at the top made it easy to use. That lands because it names the outcome. With friends, the same pattern shows up. A generic compliment is, your place looks great. Fine, but blurry. A natural one is, I like how you set this up. The room feels relaxed, and that chair by the window makes the whole place feel inviting. You noticed a choice and its effect. That is enough. With family, it can be even simpler. Dinner was good, is better than nothing, but the sauce turned out really well. It tastes fresh, feels warmer without being dramatic. Or, thanks for calling me earlier. You caught that I was stressed. That is appreciation too, not because it is emotional, because it is accurate. What is interesting is that quiet appreciation often works better than impressive appreciation. Carnegie says something similar about listening. Close attention is a strong compliment. If someone tells you about a project and you remember one detail later, that can feel meaningful. You mentioned you were nervous about that meeting. How did it go? That says, I took you seriously. Now, here's the dark little twist. Sometimes the thing you think makes you thoughtful is exactly what makes your compliments awkward. Your precision becomes self-protection. You're not being extra clear for them, you're building a shield for yourself. If I explain every reason, they can't possibly think I'm fake. If I keep it generic, I can't possibly sound intense. Both strategies are really about your discomfort, not their experience. There's also a quiet cost here. When appreciation stays generic, people don't know what mattered. When it gets overbuilt, they notice your delivery instead of the point. And over time, you miss small chances to strengthen ordinary relationships. Carnegie also emphasized praising improvement, not just polished success. That matters because specific appreciation is not reserved for big achievements. In fact, it often works best on small, visible progress. You were much clearer in that meeting today. I noticed you kept your explanation short that time. You have been really consistent with this lately. Those are tiny remarks, but they tell a person what is working. So what do you say instead? The simplest version is this: notice, name, and stop. First, notice one concrete thing: effort, choice, or outcome. Maybe your coworker stayed calm with a difficult client. Maybe your friend asked thoughtful questions at dinner. Maybe your brother finally fixed the shelf he kept putting off. You're looking for something observable, not a glowing evaluation of their character. Then name it in plain language. You do not need impressive wording. You handled that calmly. I liked the question you asked there. This is much easier to read. You made that less stressful for everyone. These sound natural because they're basically observations with warmth added, not performances. Then, stop. This part matters more than people think. Once the real point has landed, let it breathe. Don't pile on 3 more sentences because silence feels awkward. And don't cancel it with a correction. Great job on that report, but next time means the appreciation was only a runway for criticism. If you need to give feedback, give feedback. If you want to appreciate, appreciate. A useful test is this: could the other person point to the exact thing you meant? If yes, your compliment is probably specific enough. If not, make it a little more concrete. Not longer, just clearer. And if words still feel clunky, remember that appreciation doesn't always have to sound like a compliment. Sometimes it's simple recognition. That was thoughtful. You remembered. You made this easier. I can tell you put time into this. Those lines are low pressure, and that is exactly why they work. Over time, this changes how social interaction feels. You stop treating warmth like performance and start treating it like observation. You are not trying to charm people. You are noticing what is already true and saying just enough out loud. That is a different kind of social confidence. Not louder, not smoother, more grounded. And maybe that is what sincere appreciation is. Not polished praise, but accurate kindness. If you enjoy understanding small social mechanics, subscribe. And if another everyday interaction feels harder than it should, let me know. There's often a simpler pattern underneath.